What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about how Max Kellerman is making comparisons between Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and the Cliff. So let's see what they have to say about that.
How concerned are you about Drew Brees? I mean, I know it's just 2 games, but he does not look the same.
Well, I'm not going to get too caught up in it because he didn't have Michael Thomas. If he had Michael Thomas out there last night, it would have been a different ball game. This is an
It definitely would have been a different ball game.
All-world receiver. This is not a good receiver. This is not an average receiver. This is not somebody that just happened to make the all-pro team. This is an all-world receiver. And somebody that Drew Brees has used as a primary target for the last several years. Keep in mind that over the last 4 years, Drew Brees has completed at least 70% of his passes. 70, 72, in the last 2 years, 74% of his passes. Now, the yards have diminished to some degree, and last year he missed a couple of games. But in the end, we expect this. So the only problem I really have with Drew Brees is his post-game comments. My job is to win games, to put us in the best position to win. Well, sir, you did that all of these years by being a prolific passer. So don't act like somebody is, pulling stuff out of the wind, bringing up the fact that you do not look the same. Again, with Emmanuel Sanders there, if Michael Thomas were there, okay, and Alvin Kamara was there last night, and you're throwing in the football, not just running, and this is what the results were, I would be considerably more alarmed. But due to the fact that Michael Thomas, his primary weapon, who is an all-world receiver, was not there, and the first game of the day was really about you going against Tampa Bay week 1 without that crowd in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. Because remember, it compromises opposing offenses and defenses. You're a visiting team. You come to New Orleans. That noise factor, how you can get rattled, how you can get discombobulated, that matters. And how it energizes your offense also matters. Drew Brees feeds off that stuff. The fact that these circumstances are so different, I'm not acting like he's younger because he's not. But I just think that it's too soon to be so alarmed by him. Not saying it's not going to happen, but it's too soon.
I think it's too soon, too. I think Drew Brees just had a bad game, and you mix that in with him not having his primary receiver and Michael Thomas and maybe a few other things, and it looks like, Drew Brees might be falling off or, he doesn't have it. But I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. I think he just had a bad game. Now, if we get into week 7, 8, 9, or 10, and he's still making the same mistakes and things are still looking bad, then maybe that might be cause for concern. But at this point, I don't think Drew Brees has a problem. I think he just had a bad game. And that it is what it is. He doesn't have his primary receiver, and it was just a bad game. So
the home field advantage point is a great one by you, because anyone who's ever played fantasy football knows Drew Brees at home, start him, right? Like, that dude puts up numbers, and we all assume it's because of the dome, but maybe there's more things going on there. So look, I'm not ready to ring the alarm on Drew Brees, but let's be realistic. The reason I predicted the cliff, which turned out to be a ravine, I just want to point out, for Tom Brady is because no one in the history of football had ever played beyond a certain age at an elite level. They've been starters, but not elite. And by the way, you can argue what you want. Tom Brady has not put up elite numbers now in over a year. It's been over a year. So you could say,
oh, wow, over a year. And how old is he? He's 43 years old. At least, 2 years ago, he was a Super Bowl champion. Last year, he at least made the playoffs, even though they lost in the wild card. But he had absolutely nobody except for Julian Edelman and no running backs. He had nothing, and he still made the playoffs. Give the guy some credit.
Well, that's because of this, that, whatever. It's over a year. And now, just because Brady has done it and defied the cliff by a year, doesn't mean that's...
Tom Brady's still balling in Tampa Bay.
Just now what's going to happen. It's true, the rules favoring the quarterback, you can't sneeze on him without getting a penalty. I mean, that's why, if you recall, last season, the linebacker who had his hands on Brady in Kansas City and then let go because he didn't know it was, and Brady walked into the end zone for a touchdown, right? That's helping older quarterbacks stay healthy, that's true. Better nutrition, all that stuff is helping them, that's true. But Drew Brees is 41 years old, and before Tom Brady just did what he did, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, if they were cruising along at a very high altitude and all of a sudden, boom, that's why I called it a cliff, right? So I'm not going to ring the alarm yet and say, oh my God, that's it for Drew Brees. But I've noticed certain things in the last couple of years. While he's still extremely accurate, as the year goes on, his performance when they need it most has been curious. There have been some big games late in seasons, including the playoffs, where you go, no, wait a minute, I took the Saints to win this game because of Drew Brees. That was a bad throw late in the game. He's getting older. The wear and tear.
But he was doing that when he was younger.
Well, let's put it
Exactly. He was doing that when he was younger.
this way. It's not enough evidence yet to say, oh, it's age.
Yeah.
However, 2 games in a football season is over 10% of the season. They're sizable pieces of evidence. If this goes on 2 or 3 more games, with or without Michael Thomas, I'm ready to say he is showing decline because of age.
Jeff, where are you?
There is no way. There's no way at all. So last year, Drew Brees was one of the best quarterbacks. I mean, he was breaking records left and right. A lot of Peyton Manning's passing records he was breaking, and what made Michael Thomas one of the best receivers in the league, if not the best receiver. I think he had stat-wise, he was the best wide receiver in the league. So Drew Brees was doing all that last year. To come out this year and be the worst quarterback, I can't imagine that Drew Brees would drop off that much. Even if he's getting older, he's 41 years old, or he's been however long he's been playing in the league, I can't believe that'd be that much of a drop off for being one of the number 1 quarterbacks to the lowest quarterback. I just can't picture that. Drew Brees is better than that. And I think Drew Brees just had a bad game. Didn't have his number 1 receiver, like I said before, and things just don't look good. Now, if he's doing this, like I said, in week 9, 10, 11, 12, then maybe there might be something. But like I said, I think he just had a bad game. And I refuse to believe that Drew Brees fell off that much. So let's continue.
Is Michael Thomas not being there a fair excuse?
Michael Thomas not being there is a huge deal, to Stephen A's point. But let me say why I would ring the alarm bell. Maybe not a 5 alarm, but I'm going to ring it a little bit, because as you're looking at this offense develop or try to develop, you're talking about a team that didn't try to challenge the Las Vegas Raiders at all vertically. So where Drew Brees was successful last year, he led the league and throws outside the numbers. This year, he's dead last. Okay, last night they averaged a 2nd and 10, which means they're getting nothing out of first down plays. That's he and Sean Payton.
So let me have a little side note here. So if you look at these guys' numbers with the average yards in the first 2 games, all those other guys are 2-0. So they're all undefeated. That means something. That has to mean something. So they have the fewest average air yards in the first 2 games, but they're all 2-0 except for Drew Brees, and he's 1-1. That means something. That means something. So let's continue.
That's not just Drew Brees. That's the combination of what this offense is. Does Michael Thomas bring a guy who you can't cover one-on-one? Absolutely. Will that make everybody look better? Absolutely. But they're not willing to challenge the Las Vegas Raiders vertically at all with Emmanuel Sanders, Smith, Commemtary, you name it. Whichever guy you want to pick to try to take the top off, what it does is allow the Raiders to walk down, and it's like a boa constrictor getting on to, it's just constricting your offense. Everything plays tight within a box, and you watched it be taken advantage of. The Saints last night averaged on their drives about 2.5 minutes a clock. You look at the Raiders, they were averaging almost 5 minutes or 4.5 minutes. Those are crazy statistics when you're talking about an offensive-driven football team. This isn't a defensive-driven team where you always go, man, the Saints defense are going to carry them to this victory. Both Max said it, Stephen A said it. When you pick the Saints, you pick them because of Drew Brees. You pick them because of Sean Payton. When he talks about being out of sync, this isn't just out of sync. This is, we're not doing anything that looks like what we've done in the past, and you question why. My question is, why aren't we doing it? Listen, receivers get hurt. That's the part of the NFL. Players get hurt. If one guy that caught 150 balls or 149 balls last year can't play, that doesn't mean you can't challenge a defense. You better have somebody on your team that can. I saw Brees wearing the 149 and for Michael Thomas. I get all that. But at some point, as an offense, you have to say, we're still going to challenge it, because it does back everybody up. It does allow other people to succeed. It can't always be underneath and expect a 41-year-old quarterback.